What are the best places to buy property right now in Brisbane and the worst places to buy property right now in Brisbane? In this video, we'll be taking a new piece of analysis, a new rationale, a new reason, and explaining why some suburbs in Brisbane you really want to stay clear of, some areas in Brisbane you really want to gravitate towards. They might still be at the bottom of the cycle. If you're a property investor, wherever you are, and you're like, yeah, I still want to buy in Brisbane, you're not sure where, or you already own property and you're like, how's it going to go? How's it going to work? How's it going to appreciate or depreciate? Then carry on watching. My name's PK and I help people build passive income through the Property Investment Accelerator using data without needing a $15,000 buyer's agent every single time. And as this channel, we discuss property investing, we discuss the economy, and we discuss financial happiness. Subscribe. Let's go. So what you're seeing in front of me is PropTrack data, and what it's showing, look, check out this chart right here. What it's showing is the price differential to buy or rent a house in Sydney. Why are we starting in Sydney? I'll get to that in a second. I want to paint you a picture before zooming in on Brisbane. Basically, the more red on this chart, the more it means that it's cheaper to buy a place than rent in that particular suburb. And the more the blue or turquoise, it means it's cheaper to rent in that suburb versus buy. And the rationale goes that if it's cheaper to buy than rent, then a lot of renters will be like, well, why am I renting? Like, I'm going to buy here. And they will buy properties there, which mean that the capital value or the appreciation of that suburb will start to go up because there's more demand for not renting, but more demand for home buyers. And we know it's not investors necessarily, but home buyers, first home buyers or upgraders that create sustainable booms in suburbs. And that's really where you want to be buying. So the more the red there is, the better. It's cheaper to buy than pay rent every month. The more turquoise there is, it's cheaper to rent. Okay, so we want to look out for red areas. And look, this is the fact, and this is the reason I wanted to start on Sydney. It's hardly red. It's basically all turquoise. There's not a whole lot of opportunity in freestanding houses in Sydney right now. Let's go to Sydney units, okay, right here. Once again, this chart is showing that there's not that much opportunity to make quick money in property investing in basically any unit market in Sydney right now, according to this logic, okay? Now let's look at Melbourne for those of you over there. Once again, there's no red on this chart anywhere. Basically, if you want to buy a house in Melbourne, there is no suburb, basically no suburb where it is cheaper to buy than to rent. So you might as well just continue renting. That's what people is going to continue to do. And therefore, property prices aren't going to go up. In fact, they're going to go down. The same exists for units in Melbourne, okay? There's really no red here. So basically, even for townhouses, villas, units, it's much, much, much cheaper in Melbourne, basically in every single suburb, to rent than it is to buy. Now let's come to Brisbane. This is where it starts to get exciting. And this is how you can start to time the market, see where the cycles go. The price differential to buy or rent a house in Brisbane, now there's much, much, much more red. However, the problem that we have is that the red is all in Whoop Whoop, okay? So it's like past North Lakes, it's past Ipswich, it's past Logan, really on the outskirts. I wouldn't even call it Brisbane, I'd just call it greater Brisbane. So the kind of real nice places to live in Brisbane, you know, like call it within 30 kilometers of the CBD, none of those are really offering any opportunity according to this logic, which once again says if it's cheaper to buy in a suburb, then people are going to pack up stumps, stop renting, and just buy because it's cheaper. You might as well own, right? Instead of renting. And here's the magic one. Here's where I want to land, and here's where I want to spend some time. Stick with me, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Price differential to buy or rent a unit in Brisbane. Units are showing red almost everywhere. Remember, red is a good thing. It means it's cheaper to buy than to rent. Now, of course, I'm not saying to buy in a high-rise tower or anything like that, but if you're a young family or if you're an investor, right, in Sydney or Melbourne, or even in Brisbane, and you're like, well, I've been priced out of Sydney, Melbourne, I've priced out of houses in Brisbane, you know, lo and behold, don't fret, don't be afraid. There is opportunities in villas, you know, single story, blocks of units, or that kind of dwelling type in Brisbane. Mount Omany, number 1, Augustine Heights, number 2, Fernvale number 3, Springfield Lakes number 4, and Baronia Heights number 5. And then you've got places like Logan Lee, Boonah, Hillcrest, Marsden, Crestmead, where there's also this dynamic where, let's see for Mount Omni, which is actually, pretty close to the CBD, great mall there, really nice family suburb, huge amount of owner occupiers versus renters. The monthly differential is $1,000. It's cheap. It saves you $1,000 a month to buy as opposed to rent. That's how high rents are compared to the mortgage repayments on an average house. So for my money, and none of this is financial advice, but Mount Omni, Augustine Heights, etc., these are the areas that there's a lot of, forward pressure. You're swimming with the current in terms of price appreciation. Just because houses are falling in value in parts of Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, parts of Brisbane, that doesn't mean that all dwelling types are falling in value. Certainly not townhouses. And the opposite side of the spectrum, I told you the worst places to invest in Brisbane as well. Cheapest to rent in Greater Brisbane. So these are the blue areas or the turquoise. This is the other side of the spectrum where it's like, why would you ever buy here? The renting is like half the price. I'm never going to buy. I'm just going to live my lifestyle in this suburb. So the areas you want to be double, triple, quadruple times careful about investing or buying right now, because most people won't want to be because renting is so cheap, is places like Shorncliffe, Tennyson, Eagle Farm, Kilcoy, Newport, Sandgate. I mean, all these are very expensive. Sandgate is the first one that's kind of under $600,000 right now. Sandgate, Point Lookout, Tarragindi, Hendron, New Farm. You want to be double careful about buying in those areas, because the psychology or the psyche of the general mass is that it's so much cheaper to rent. There's no point buying. But the opposite is true for a place like Mount Omni, right? So guys, if you are looking to invest in Brisbane right now, this is not the answer to your problems, right? But it's another cog. It's another piece of the puzzle. And if you're a client, you know that this is not really the crux of our data system, but it's so important to understand this. You can't just make an analysis or decision based on one data point, but you need to know so many data points just like that to be able to make a holistic, concrete, measured decision of where to invest, why to invest, and most importantly, when to invest. Because there are points in time in history where it's not a good idea to invest in a particular suburb. You should move to another city or another suburb. So right now, that is also expanded upon in terms of dwelling type. Some suburbs in Brisbane, freestanding houses, forget it. And you might say that, that kind of disobeys all fundamental principles. It doesn't. Even townhouses and villas have land component. Land appreciates, buildings depreciate. Townhouses are fine to invest in. They perform just as well as houses, provided they're in the right location. And these areas that I've mentioned to you, these are pointing towards the right locations. Of course, you have to do much more analysis than that, and all my clients will know how to do that. But I'm hopefully this is bringing you some real solid value, guys. If you want me to do this and maybe a deep dive for places like Adelaide and Perth, leave a yes in the comments below. I'd love to do it, but this is brand new angle of vision. I don't think I've shared this before. No one's talking about it. It's PropTrack data. Go check it out. My name's PK. Hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and always remember the most important real estate is the 6 inches between your two ears. Level up your knowledge before you invest in anything else. Invest in that real estate. I'll leave links below to my podcast on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and also the Facebook group with more than 21,000 people now. This is the sort of stuff we discuss on a daily basis. You will do yourself a favor if you get all of this free knowledge and maybe take it further later. My name's PK. Catch you later, guys. Bye.